Welcome to Euro 2013, our sixth cultural European experience tour. This year's educational goals include World War II and the Holocaust history, Eastern Europe and communist history and their influence, new democracy in the global world. We'll be traveling from March 8th to the 17th to Poland, Czech Republic, Austria, and Hungary. Summit has had 6 European trips. First one was in 2008 to discover medieval Europe's great power, 2009 to Italy to find the roots of Europe, 2010 to Turkey to rediscover ancient Europe, 2011 to Spain and Portugal to rediscover colonial policies between medieval Europe and Latin America, 2012 we went to France and Germany and England to discover post-War II Europe, 2013 we'll be going to discover Eastern Europe, communist history, and their influence. We'll be flying from Toronto directly to Warsaw, the capital city of Poland. We'll be staying a few nights, then heading to the city of Krakow. From Krakow, we go to Prague, the capital city of Czech Republic. From Prague, we then head to Vienna with a one-day stay in Hungary, back to Vienna, back to Toronto on March 17th. Our first destination is Warsaw, Poland. Poland, which capital city is Warsaw, has approximately 38 million people. It's currently an EU member, with Roman Catholics being 88%, 97% speak Polish, and their currency is the zloty. Castle Square is a historic square in front of the royal castle, the official residence of the Polish monarchs, located in the capital city Warsaw. It's a popular meeting place for tourists and local. The square is more or less a triangular shape surrounded by historic townhouses. St. John's Archcathedral in Warsaw is famous because it's a Catholic church and it's the only one archcathedral in Warsaw. St. John stands immediately adjacent to Warsaw's Jesuit church and is one of the oldest churches in the city and the main church of the Warsaw Archdiocese. Old Town Square is the center and the oldest part of the Old Town of Warsaw. Immediately after the Warsaw Uprising, it was systematically blown up by the German army, but rebuilt after post-World War II. St. Martin's Church, which was established in 1353, a hospital of the Holy Spirit. The temple had 3 altars, the main altar of St. Martin, the side altars of the Holy Ghost and St. Dorothy. Warsaw Old Town is the oldest historic district of the city and is one of the most prominent tourist attractions, the heart of the area of the Old Town Marketplace. The Warsaw History Museum, located in a series of Renaissance mansions, and Old Town Square is full of artifacts of Warsaw's long history. The Holy Cross, or the Church of the Holy Cross, is a Roman Catholic house of worship in downtown Warsaw. It's opposite of the Warsaw University campus. It's one of the most noticeable Baroque churches in Poland. The University of Warsaw at one time was replaced with the Russian language Imperial University, and then also it was held by the Germans. Many students took part in the famous Warsaw Uprising, as we'll be learning, and this is where the location that it occurred. Currently, it is the top and the most prestigious university in Poland. Maria Curie Museum is devoted to the life and the work of the Polish 2-time Nobel laureate. She is famous because her achievements include a theory of radioactivity, techniques for isolating radioactive isotopes, and the discovery of 2 elements, plutonium and radium. She's very famous because of the impact she has made to science, and we're going to be learning about her as well as visiting the museum. Our next stop is the city Krakow. We'll be starting at the Woło Royal Castle. It's very famous because of the coronations and ceremony it's held today. Other structures were developed on this hill so that it was a quarter for clergy, royal clerks, and craftsmen, and it still today has maintained its beauty. The main market square is off the Old Town in Krakow, and it's a principal urban space located at the center of the city. It goes back to the 13th century, and it's the largest medieval town square in Europe. The Church of the Lady Assumed into Heaven, St. Mary's Church, is a brick Gothic church rebuilt in the 14th century. It's particularly famous for its wooden altarpiece carved by Wiectos. Kazimierz is very famous. It's a historical district of Krakow, known for its significant Jewish community. More importantly, in 1993, Steven Spielberg shot his film Schindler's List here, and it drew international attention. Oskar Schindler's Factory is from the movie. Of course, it's true about the ethnic German industrialist who is credited for saving 1,100 Jews during the Holocaust by employing them in his factory. And it's also famous, of course, from the movie based on the novel Schindler's Ark and Schindler's List. The salt mines is located in the town of Waliczka in the southern Poland. The mine was built in the 13th century and it produced table salt continuously until 2007 as one of the world's oldest salt mines. It's no longer in use, but the attractions includes dozens of statues, chapels, and entire cathedrals that has been carved out of rock. Auschwitz concentration camp, which is which we will be spending a day, is famous because it's known for obviously being the largest concentration camp and extermination camp built and operated by the Third Reich in Polish area annexed by Nazi Germany during World War II. It is the largest of the German concentration camps. It was designed by Heinrich Himmler, Germany's Minister of Interior, as the place of the final solution of the Jewish question in Europe. From early 1942 until 1944, transport trains delivered Jews to the camp's gas chambers from all over German-occupied Europe. Approximately 1.3 million Jews have perished here. Those not killed in the gas chambers died of starvation, forced labor, infectious disease, individual executions, and medical experiments. Quite a tragedy. But we will get to visit the largest concentration camp still remaining in Europe. From Poland, we will be traveling to the Czech Republic. Capital city is Prague. Approximately 10 million people. Parliamentary democracy with the president. 10% are Catholic. 64% are Czechs. They speak Czech and they use the currency koruna. We will start in the Old Town. It was separated from its outside by a semicircular moat, which is now connected through the moat is now covered by the streets and trees as well. We then move to Prague's Old Town Square, which is quite beautiful. It's bursting at the seams with tourists, featuring various architectural styles, including the Gothic Time Church, the Baroque St. Nicholas Church. The square is an oasis for travelers, and you can also find the astronomical clock on this square, while the tower at the Old Town Hall offers a panoramic view of the city. St. Vitus Cathedral Church, its graceful soaring towers of this Gothic cathedral is one of the most beautiful in Europe. It is the spiritual heart of the Prague Castle and of the Czech Republic itself. The Charles Bridge is a famous historic bridge that crosses the river in Prague. It was constructed in 1357 and finished in the beginning of the 15th century. It was known as the only means of crossing the river until 1841. The astronomical clock, as told before, is in front of the Old Town's Hall. It's famous because it's an important symbol of Prague, and according to legend, the masterpiece and the clock artist was blinded by the council because they didn't want him to leave, so he couldn't repeat his fine work elsewhere. He killed himself by throwing himself into the clock mechanism and promptly dying. The clock remained out of kilter for almost a century. We go to the Powder Tower next. It's a Gothic tower in Prague and one of the oldest city gates. It is one of the symbols of Prague leading into the Old Town. We then go to the Jewish Quarter. It's a town quarter in the smallest area of Prague, Czech Republic. It's formerly the Jewish ghetto. It's completely surrounded by the Old Town. The quarter is often represented by the flag of the Prague's Jewish community. With only 6 synagogues, the old cemetery, and the old Jewish town hall, Nazi occupation could have been expected to complete the demolition of this old ghetto, but it didn't. Instead, it was preserved in order to provide a site for a planned exotic museum of extinct race, meaning that the Nazis gathered Jewish artifacts here from all over Europe for display. The Church of the Mother of God in front of Tien is a dominant feature of the Old Town of Prague and has been the main church for this part since the 14th century. We then go to Prague Castle. It's where the kings of the Bohemian Holy Roman Emperors and the presidents of Czechoslovakia and the Czech Republic have had their offices. The Czech crown jewels are kept here as well, and the Prague Castle is the biggest castle in the world. From Czech Republic, we then move to Austria, capital city is Vienna. There's 8.4 million people. It is an EU parliamentary democracy. Roman Catholic 74%. The currency is the euro. We're going to first start off the Shushanan Palace. This is a very famous palace, and the gardens illustrate the taste, interests, and aspirations of the Habsburg monarch. It's a former imperial summer residence. St. Leopold's Church is in Vienna, is the Roman Catholic oratory, and the hospital designed by Otto Wagner is considered one of the most important Art Nouveau churches in the world. Hofburg Palace is the palace located in Vienna. It has housed most of the most powerful people in Europe and Austrian history, including the Habsburg dynasty, the rulers of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, and it currently serves as the official residence of the President of Austria. St. Stephen's Cathedral is the mother church of the Archdiocese of Vienna and the seat of the Archbishop of Vienna. Stephansplatz is a square at the geographical center of Vienna. It's named after its most prominent building, the Stephansdom in Vienna's cathedral, one of the tallest churches in the world. Vienna State Opera is an opera house and opera company. The members of the Vienna Philharmonic are recruited from its orchestra here. The Palacio Belvedere is a historic complex in Vienna consisting of two Baroque palaces, the Upper and Lower Belvedere. The buildings are set in a Baroque park landscape in the 3rd district of the city. We then have the Kuhenhaus Wines, is a museum in Vienna designed by the artist Friedrich Huntwasser, and his exhibitions are held here. The International Atomic Energy Agency head office, which reports both to the UN General Assembly and Security Council, and their job is to inhibit the use of military purpose of nuclear weapons. They are involved directly with North Korea. From the Czech Republic, we will go one day to Hungary. Hungary, its capital city is Budapest. There's approximately 10 million. Christians are 44%, 92% Hungarian. They speak Hungarian and they use the forint. We'll first start off at the medieval royal palace of Buda Castle. Its rooms in the old palace of Hungarian kings were held here. We then move to the Matthias Church. It's a church located in Hungary and is the heart of the Buda Castle district. The Fisherman Bastion is next. It was designed and built in 1895. It has a stretch of city walls and viewing terrace with many stairs and walking paths. The Chain Bridge. The Chain Bridge is famous as a suspension bridge that spans the river, the western and eastern sides of Budapest, and is the first permanent bridge in Budapest. Was opened in 1849. The Parliament is which translates to the House of the Country, is the seat of the National Assembly of Hungary, one of Europe's oldest legislative buildings. And we get to stop at the Rudis Bath, which is a thermal medicinal bath in Budapest. It was the first built in 1550 during the time of the Ottoman rule. It has a Turkish flair to it. So we depart Toronto on Friday, March the 8th. We stay in Warsaw overnight for 2 nights. We go 1 night to Krakow, 1 night to Prague, 3 nights to Vienna. And from Vienna, we do a 1-day visit to Budapest, back to Vienna, flying back to Canada, Toronto on March the 17th. Our educational objectives, which are very important, are to compare and contrast our experiences, Western and Eastern perspectives, knowing the history of the Axis and Allies powers, experiencing European cultures such as food, famous landmarks, and places. European politics is also important. You'll be learning about the global village, the influence of the Eastern Europe history on today's modern Western Europe, post-World War II Soviet Union and the Holocaust, the role of the Soviet Union, communism, and the Axis power, as well as the new role of the European Union in Eastern Europe. 5 weeks prior to the trip, we are to have workshops learning about the historical background of these countries, the politics, economy, religion and language, customs and traditions. During the trip itself, we're going to be applying our knowledge on what we've learned from the workshops, learning about the application of our knowledge through daily missions and journals, and experience the cultures of Eastern Europe. After we fly back to Canada, we will be meeting to discuss our experiences, our feedback, reflecting and thinking about what we've learned and how we've experienced it. So remember, the world is a book, and those who do not travel read only a page. And this was written by St. Augustine. We look forward to seeing you at Euro 2013. on our 6th Cultural Experience Tour. My name is Mr. Saw. See you Euro 2013.